Good evening. It's Wednesday at 9 o'clock. This is the Whatnot Podcast. I'm MikeZ.
I am Chris, and my eardrums are busted.
And with us tonight is Nick from Statedwoods Co. Nick, thank you for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
We are glad you're here. Let me go ahead and, I know what see.
We expect you to be able to reach across your shoulder and point where you are on the map.
Yeah? It's
behind you, yeah.
You got it? You see it?
Close enough. We'll take it. Was North America. That was good.
Yeah,
that was right above the equator. That is your top of your screen there.
Exactly.
Wow. So I'm going to have to cut my sound down a little bit. That was some bass kicking in my ears during that little intro there, Michael.
I haven't changed the music. I apologize.
No, it was all me. And I almost missed the recipe for knobby buns, so...
Yeah, I was trying to read that. I went by way too fast.
This podcast is going to make me fat. Brownies a couple weeks. Oh, wait, I'm already there. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Glad you could join us. This is not a podcast for those on a diet.
Not at all. Not if you want recipes that are just random from Hot Shot movies. That's all it is. Yes, but we are the podcast where we put the what into whatnot. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, Nick, I'll let the door open. I'll leave the floor for you. Of course, there's my cat now, so now's a good time. Tell me a little bit about you, where you come from, how you get into woodworking, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I live in North Carolina, same as these boys. Yeah. I'm just outside of Pinehurst, North Carolina, which is sort of like the golf capital of the U.S. in a way. I started woodworking probably about 3-4 years ago, really. It all sort of spun around the fact that I designed my home and had it built, and I was in the mix the entire time with the contractors and how to do it and learning all these kinds of things, and I just could not stay away. I think I was the only... The framing guy said that I was the only person that he's ever driven up to a house and seen the homeowner up on the roof while they were framing it. And I was like, yeah, I just want to be in it. So I got the bug from that. I've always been tinkering. When I was little, I had electronics just laying around in a bucket, and my mom just would throw a phone in there, and I just take it apart and play with it and put it back together. It never worked again after that, but that's what I did. And I grew up working in a factory. We have a family textile mill, and I was part of that and took motors apart. We redesigned things. We did electrical. We did engineering stuff. I mean, everything. So I had my hands in it all the time. And after doing the house and getting that going, I built a little shop. It was like a little one-car garage in the basement, and I outgrew it in about 14 days. And so I had to rethink that and saved up for a while, and finally was able to build my shop that I currently have now. So it's been a journey, but it's been a blast.
And how big is that shop?
It is 30 by 48. It's a metal frame, like aluminum building. Poured the concrete in about a week and a half, and they put up the building in about 2 days. And then they handed me the keys, and I started from there. I did did all the flooring, did all the electrical, did the crappy insulation job that I have in there now, hung up all the lights, did all that kind of stuff myself, which was awesome. My business partner, Landon, he came over and helped me with all that. I had a bunch of friends come and help me. did the plumbing. I'd never done plumbing before, really. So Landon helped me put in a sink in there and all that kind of stuff. But it's just been one thing after the other, man. Every little upgrade and little thing that I wanted to do, I did it myself. So it really makes you learn your space, you know?
Absolutely. Plus, and you know everything that goes on in that space, which is also nice. So if something happens, something goes wrong, you know exactly where to follow it back to. It makes it a lot easier than, getting an older place where you have to figure out what someone else did before you.
Yeah, exactly. And the key for me was that I wanted to go big from the start. If you could do it, if you could save up for it, go big from the start, because you're never going to get smaller. You're only going to get bigger. So like for my electrical, I went with the biggest panel that I could get in there legally. I did not go, the county doesn't know that I have that shop technically. They probably do now. So I didn't pull permits. So I had to run it from my house to the shop. So I did the biggest panel I did, but then I put electrical panels or outlets everywhere. I mean, I've got like 8 220s in there. I've got like 40 different 110 outlets. I mean, you just got to think, because you never know how the layout's going to be. You never know what equipment you're going to get. So I went full out, and I'm just now getting to the point where I'm starting to fill up the panel, and I could probably go for some more.
But what's nice about that and having that many different circuits available is that you could run several machines, because you call your space more of a maker co-op, right?
Yeah, I do. So, most of the time when you think of woodworkers, you're thinking about guys or girls. They're in their garage, do it on the weekends or do it late at night, after the kids have gone to bed or whatever. Well, that was me for 2 years plus. Landon would come down. We'd be like, let's do some woodworking this weekend. And we'd knock out a project or do something. Then I got to really thinking with the social media and the community and the way that how, thriving the community of woodworking is. I was like, why don't we do some things together? So my plan is to have like maker retreats where I just invite a bunch of makers to come down and do things. We've seen a couple, big influencers do stuff like that. There's a lot of people in the community that need little things done, but they don't have the equipment. So as long as I'm available, I love to have people come in. I'll teach them stuff. My goal is to do some classes on things. I've had people reach out and say, can you do a cutting board class, or, can you do this or that? Intro to woodworking classes, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, my goal was to get it from not just being me in my shop by myself, but to share it with other people around me and people that I meet, on social media, on Instagram, on YouTube. I think the community is already strong, but there's nothing better than having a bigger community and sharing it with people. So
sharing it's definitely makes it the community that it has grown to be, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Give a little shout out to Broken Lid Woodworks. It looks like Mr. Kyle Ely is in tonight. Landon Mathers, which I'm guessing that's the Landon.
That is the Landon Mathers. That's right.
I should have gotten his picture. I didn't see that one because he took over the Instagram for a little while when he went on vacation, right?
He did. Yeah. He's my business partner in crime. We do all kinds of things together. We went to photography school in college together, so we feed off of each other on projects, but also in the videoing and things like that. So it's awesome.
It's good to have a partner when you haul in a big old CNC in, isn't it?
Yeah, God, I had to call in reserves for that thing. Let me tell you. Yes.
And in case you don't know, Nick went down to help Izzy Swan, take it off of his hands, his Avid CNC.
Yeah, he wasn't using it.
No, he was getting a bigger one, and you needed a tractor for the one when you brought it in the shop, right? If I'm not mistaken, you had a tractor inside the shop.
I did. It took an Izzy and a Maggie. If you haven't met Maggie, that girl is strong. She showed me up that day. But if you don't have an Izzy and a Maggie, you got to have a tractor. So, yeah, I had to call on the big boys. Luckily, I had one, but it was a lot. Let me tell you, those things are not light, especially with it had a 5 by 12 MD double 2-layer MDF boards on it. Man, that stuff's heavy.
Yes.
Just get you an extra Grabo. That'll help you.
Yeah. Oh, I tried. Let me tell you, those Grabos won't suck through MDF though.
They don't hold for very long, do they?
Nope, not on MDF.
No, but you have the Grabo because you did some interesting videos on showing how you were holding. What was it that I saw you do? Was it you put a back on something? Like you held it up with that?
Yeah, the CNC cart that I made to hold a computer and everything. I'm in the shop by myself most of the time. Landon was there, and he was like, "Well, I'll help you." I was like, "No, I don't need you. I got the Grabo. We're gonna do this. We're gonna show people how these things work." So yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you can pick up a whole sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, no problem. I lifted it over my shoulder. I mean, it took me a couple times because I'm a little weak now, but you can do it. You can move it around, no problem. Those things are amazing. And Izzy Swan is figuring out all kinds of ways to use them. And but man, I love that thing.
Yeah, looks like it would be very handy. As soon as I saw you putting the back on a cabinet, I was like, now that's crafty right there, because that's probably one of the harder things to get lined up. And if you have something you can hold it right in the center without putting a hole in there, that's great. So I like that idea.
Yeah, no double-sided tape, no nothing. I mean, it's just easy peasy. I can't wait to take it to Lowe's or Home Depot and go to the box store and buy plywood, and people are going to be like, great. Whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to do a tool review competition. You get a Grabo from Izzy. I'll call JP, see if he can hook me up with some Viking arms, and we'll see which one does better at lifting backs onto cabinets and whatnot.
Yeah,
more
let me tell you, that Grabo, man, it's awesome. And I've used it a ton, and the battery hasn't died yet. I mean, it comes with 2 batteries, and this thing is a beast. I love it.
Is it rechargeable?
It is. It is. You
cool.
just pop the battery off, and there's a plug goes right into it. And yeah, they send you with 2 of them, and then it sends you with 2, or at least mine came with 2 suction pads, because you got to make good contact on the surface. So it comes with 2 of those and 2 batteries. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, great invention.
Well, I'll say this. I've kind of watched you for a while, and not in a weird way, but just watched your channel in a while, and you've done it the right way. You haven't gone in with cheap stuff and cheap tools and tried to skimp on because of money. You said, I'm going to get the right tool, and I'm not going to have to get another one. And that's a huge mistake that a lot of woodworkers make, is they say, well, okay, so I have this small budget. I'm going to get as many different tools within this budget that I can. And so, you having that understanding of the right tool is going to last you, and you won't have to buy another one. Then, so that's a good way. I give you kudos on that. It's nice to see, some young people coming on with some passion for woodworking and are willing to, get the right tool for the job.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes some time to get. I mean, some of these tools are not cheap, and you can obviously buy. I mean, some of these you could buy multiple tools for the price of the same, one tool. But you're right. I'm one of those guys that if I can swing it and I can save for it, why buy the same thing twice when you can just buy the right one the first time? Yep. It's just like every job. Every job takes the correct tool. Don't waste your time using the wrong tool. So yeah, I love it.
Well, then if you spend the money on the cheap tool and then eventually have to buy the more expensive version of that, you basically just added to the cost of the expensive version.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cheaper just to get the expensive up front.
Well, I mean, like my first table saw was it was probably a 1980 Ryobi table saw. It was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And I mean, it got the job done, but it just was not reliable. And a lot of times in woodworking, to make good quality stuff, you want to be reliable on your cuts, your measurements, everything. So some things you can skimp on, some things you can't. Like the CNC, like right now, since I'm learning, I'm skimping on some of the bits. I'm buying some cheaper bits. But once I get through that phase of breaking all these bits and I have some confidence in myself, then I'll start getting the bigger, more expensive ones. But
now, which software are you looking at using for that?
So the CNC right now, I'm using Vectric. That's what came with it with Izzy.
Gotcha. Now, have you heard of LearnYourCNC.com, where you can learn Vectric at a low price?
Yes, I heard. That was a good segue, man. Holy cow.
Hey, by the way, Kyle, what's up, dude? I'm just kidding.
Sponsored yet?
Yeah, sponsored yet? No. But we actually, Chris has taken it, and we had 2 podcasts on basically, starting out with CNC and everything. So, going with the cheaper bits, but the way that he taught Vectric makes it to where you don't have to start buying those cheaper bits.
Well, the only reason I had 1 or 2 cheaper bits is because I was being very impatient in my screw locations. And that's the only reason I've broken a bit, is because we ate right through a screw. So that's the only one I have broken so far. But yes, I have seen the website. I am going to purchase and jump on that. And hashtag not sponsored. I am going to jump on that because I mean that sounds like a great platform to learn on, and you can come back to it again and again. I think so.
You go as you set your own pace. So if you want to rush through it, you can. If you want to go back and catch something maybe you missed, absolutely. The way he has it set up, we keep telling him he's crazy for not charging more, because you could easily go through that and be coming out the other side pristine. But his followers that he has, the people who have taken the course, they back him 100%. That's a really cool community.
Yeah,
he paid us in friendship.
Yes, he did. Kyle saying, "Shh."
Yeah, there's going to be some poor woodworker schmuck in a year that's going to be like watching this episode, and he's going to be like, "Wait a minute, this thing's way out of proportion now. Why did you tell him to go up on the price?"
Yeah, so it's because right now he's offering every bit of Vectric in that one low price. So you can do everything from the Cut 2D is it called, Chris? Mm-hmm. All the way up to Aspire. So I mean all of that's included in it. So if you're starting out and then you get better, each one of those courses are all included in it, which is, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's totally awesome. I'm gonna definitely jump on it, because I mean that's what I've been doing right now, is watching a lot of YouTube videos, reaching out to friends that have, CNCs. But I need a way of learning that CNCs for dummies. Maybe that's what I need.
Well, I'll give you this advice. Don't use Izzy Swan's feeds and speeds. Those are not for the faint of heart. Let me just tell you.
So I don't know.
I've seen him even post stuff. Okay, now I'm running this bit way faster than it ought to, but I'm in a hurry, so I got to get it done. I don't care if I go through 5 of them. I just got to get it done.
So here's the thing. I don't know if he wants me to say this or not, but he gave us like a 30, like I had never seen a CNC in action. I've never run one, right? And he gave us like a 35 minutes spiel on like how to run it, how to run Vectric, and how to run Mach 3s, which what we're using to run it. Mm-hmm. And he started talking about feeds and speeds, because that was my question. I was like, I'm going to break bits because I'm going to have it running way too fast, moving too slow, pushing it, I'm going to break them. And he was like, well, here's a little secret. You run it and you bump it up until the bit starts screaming just a little bit, and then you're good to go. I was like, I don't know if that's really an educated way of doing it, but that's what he said. So that's why I run with it. We were playing with it the other day, and we started running something, and Landon was like, man, that's screaming. I was like, all right, we're set then.
Well, good for JP. His wife just greenlighted the CNC machine, so he's officially in the market.
I know where you can learn the software at.
Would that be at learnyourcnc.com?
Holy cow.
So what we do with this, just so you know, Nick, is that we just have fun with it.
Hey,
because we don't get paid anything. I know it looks like we do, but we don't. We just actually think that it's a great platform for anyone to learn Vectric on. And so therefore, and Kyle's such a nice guy that we just enjoy, just having fun. So
and I know where you can buy the CNC.
Where would that be at? Call him. Oh, Chris, yeah. Chris will help you out.
That's awesome.
That's right. You're welcome, Kyle. Thanks for joining us and staying up late to hang out with us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it learning a new CNC, I would say the hardest part. It's the software's tricky, but if you got any, you young people, pick it up pretty quick. The hardest part is dialing in feeds and speeds. I mean, it's just like the most insane thing. And just when you think you got it figured out, you use a different piece of wood, and you're like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah.
So, I've been doing a lot of MDF myself and some plywood, and I did Babinga for one of the guys at work. I did a project for him, and oh my God, I thought, man, I'm gonna break my machine. I had to drastically dial down the feed rate. Then I had to drastically reduce the depth per cut, and it's like, wow, this Babinga is nasty, but
yeah, price
you pay and lessons you learn. But it's fun. You'll have a blast with it, and if nothing else, eventually I'll see you with those composite staples, and you'll be doing just like Izzy and nailing everything down that way.
Yeah, yeah. Right now, I've just been screwing everything to the MDF board. I didn't do any track system or anything like that. It's just straight flat MDF, and it's worked well. I mean, I've had a couple projects slip on me, and it's usually okay. I can fix it. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and you learn a lot very quickly. I didn't. It looks so complicated from the outside, and then you have clients, they're like, oh, you just put a piece of wood on there and print something out. I'm like, no, it's not that easy either. But yeah, it looks complicated on the outside, but it's really not once you get into it and you sort of realize how it works and what to do. And I mean, we've only had ours up and running maybe 8-10 weeks, and we've learned a ton from it, but we still have a long ways to go.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Live with Whatnot QVC. That's how Mike Rowe got his start. So don't know.
Listen, John, you'll be on here in a couple weeks, so we'll make sure your episode is. we'll work through some stuff for you.
Absolutely,
something special.
Yeah, for Nick, I've got the banner going up at the top there for him, so it's constantly Statedwoods Co.
Yeah, looks good.
It does, doesn't it? So, by the way, sponsored. Anyhow, all right. So we'll get back to. All right. So let's talk about if you guys are ready to switch gears a little bit. We'll talk about the some of the stuff that you make.
Yeah,
because this is all prior to the CNC work, right? Everything on your website.
Yeah, pretty much everything is. I basically all my projects are right now. They're really what I want to do. I've had a couple client builds. I haven't done a lot of client projects. I would love to figure out a way to not do a lot of client projects and still just do, things that I want to do. It's going to take a little bit of client work to, get things up and running full time and do content stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's all just fun stuff. And the thing about me and the shop and even Landon, like, I don't ever do anything the same twice, and I don't want to get to that repetition. Like the CNC, I can do some batch products and things like that. That's going to be perfect. But my actual everyday projects, I want to be able to challenge myself and I want to be able to learn something different. So it may not look like it from my feed, but every project that I do is something new, something different, and something that I didn't think I really could do. So yeah, they're a blast.
And that's kind of the whole point, I think, to woodworking, no matter which avenue you take, is to find something that you look at it and you say, I want to try that. I want to attempt that. And then challenge yourself on doing it at the same time.
Yeah. For instance, and I know you just had this experience, so I'll bring this into the mix. Sometimes when you try to do an interesting project, you then have to stop and build something completely different just for that project.
Yeah.
So like the net you just made.
Yeah.
You learned a little bit on that project, did you?
Yeah, I learned a ton. It was so much fun. But yeah, you're right. I did a fly fishing net. It was called a landing net for a buddy at the office, and I wanted to do steam bending or bent lamination, and so I had to build a steam box for it, which was another whole side project that was just a blast. And we've used it several times already. Now that we have it, and God, it's just so much fun. It's such a simple design, easy idea to follow, but it's just something that you got to do to get to your end result of the project you want to go with.
So we've got the steam box that you built on the left side of the screen here, and your custom chop saw box. I really do like this box.
Yeah, that was a really fun project. So just like anybody else's shop that has a miter saw and a chop saw, is the thing makes dust, and nobody, I mean, I don't have a Capex, from Festool, so nobody that I know of can really handle the sawdust coming off of these things. So I designed and built this little dust shroud, and it works unbelievably perfect. I have it not far away from my Laguna P-Flux, so it's got a lot of suction, and I can increase the suction even more too by putting some more blast gates on things. But I mean, it works really well. And to be honest with you, I'm going to do a video at some point here soon. I've had that dust shroud on there for probably 6 months, maybe 8 months, and I haven't cleaned from behind it at all.
It'd be good to see what it's.
So I'm going to see what's back there. Now, obviously, it's going to have some sawdust back there, because such a large volume of space back there, you're not going to get a ton of suction through it. But my goal was to get the small micro particles that are floating in the air to get out of my face. I mean, that's all you ask for. The big stuff, the pieces, the chunks, they're still going to be back there. But that fine dust that we breathe in every single day, I just cannot stand it. So
let's,
it works perfect.
I have I have 2 videos here lined up just for that. One, I'll show this is your fishing net that you made with the bent.
Yes.
It's called a landing net, Mike. A landing net.
Landing net. Yes. Yes.
And I'm an avid fisherman here.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing is that nothing actually went wrong with this project. Now, how often do you get to say that especially on something that you've done for the first time? So, I mean, there's little areas that I can improve on. My, glue seams, some of the glue seams may have been a little bit better if I did it again, but it was a blast. And I've already learned from that one how to make it better next time. I'm going to make some CNC forms that sort of clamp in and put even clamping pressure around the whole thing. So you literally just put your pieces in there, steam bend them around it, put your clamp around it, put 1 or 2 clamps on it, and it'll clamp the whole entire fishing net at one time. So that's my plan.
Nice. And JP said he knows someone who built a miter saw station that could use a dust shroud. That would be him. He just released a new video on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
Is it falling apart yet?
Does it fall apart better?
What? Yeah. Wasn't that the
What he built?
comment? Which one's going to fall apart better?
Yeah, which one's going to fall apart better?
Well, I have a whole YouTube video on that build, so it was actually a really fun build. And that video has been doing fairly decent for our little tiny channel.
So what I really like about what you're doing, though, with the dust in the back is actually seeing the airflow. Because what that dust is going to tell you is where there is a negative space in that vacuum to where the dust is just kind of laying there. And then the dust starts to actually channel the rest of the dust that you're cutting in down the chute. So what you can actually do is then take that and then kind of either machine or laminate something that you want to take up that area to make it even more efficient in the square corners.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason that hood is so large is because that contractor chop saw that I have, it has such a long swing radius with it being a sliding miter saw. So it had to be big, and that's a lot of space in there to try to get suction on. So inside there is a little tiny box, basically right underneath that dust hose, if you can see it in there. And that's where all the suction is. So there's no suction all the way at the very top. It's all down at the bottom where gravity would, tend to pull that dust down anyway. So, and then it does have sort of a V design on the back to sort of channel all that suction in. But I mean, it's still it's 4 foot. It's a 4 foot wide box. So that's a lot of volume to try to suck some air through.
So are you going to try to, if you had to change the chop saw, would you then be able just to change the doors?
Yeah. Yeah, you could.
Easy peasy.
Yep. Yeah, and the way that we designed, so I designed that with Landon's help, we designed that miter saw stand that it's sitting on, and it has leveling feet on it. So no matter what chop saw that I get, I can always adjust the height of that table so that it is in line with the rest of the bench. Cool. So yeah, it'll work for any of them. And the box could probably go smaller if you use one of the new little like Delta saws or the Capex that doesn't have that big, huge slide arm in the back for all that hose. I mean, you can make the box much, much smaller. But
I'll say that the gliding Bosch chop saw is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
Out of all the designs that I've seen, JP's got the new Delta, and I do like its look of it. I haven't tried that one. But between the Capex and the Bosch, I like the Bosch better because just that robotic arm type of movement was much smoother than the Capex.
Yeah.
Capex is kind of, if you're doing quick chop jobs like trim, I wouldn't recommend it. Like if you need to turn it on and chop, it's not great for that. But if you're doing precision cuts where you turn it on and let it speed up, because it is DC, so it takes longer to spin up, if you will. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing I'm very much used to turning it on and going for it. So it all depends on your type of style, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and that's an upgrade one day. I mean, that was my very first chop saw I ever bought from, the box store on sale, contractor style. So
I still have that DeWalt too. So no, yeah. I like the Bosch. If I could buy one to upgrade to, that'd be it for me. But I'm keeping my DeWalt that I've inherited. Yes. So no issues there at all.
Yeah.
But I do like this video I want to show everybody. And so when you talked about the loft dust you wanted to get out of your face, there's also dust that hits the floor. And the way that you go about cleaning the shop for me was probably one of my favorite things that I saw you do.
Yeah, I get a lot of grief about that too, because everybody's like, that dust is just going to fall right back down. I was like, well, I'll just charge the battery on the hoverboard and do it all over again. It's got to go somewhere, but yeah, I just open the garage door and all the man doors and just blow it out. I mean, it probably looks like my shop's on fire about every other week, but it is what it is. Fertilize the grass outside.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, you didn't do that with the 72 gallons of chips that you had the
No.
other day.
No, I did not. That was just way too much. And then I also thought I have a floor sweep hooked to my dust collector, and I was like, could that fit? No, let's not do that. Yeah. It was at least 100, 120 pounds worth of sawdust coming out of that thing. So, yeah, it was everywhere. And that's another thing. My dust boot on the CNC is not perfectly designed for slab flattening. And so I need to reinvent that.
Well, hey, watch, go sign up for the Vectric user group. They're having a thing starting
Worldwide
tomorrow, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's Friday or Saturday. They're having it's a couple from Avid actually, and they're going to be discussing how to make a proper dust boot.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. I signed up for it today, but I didn't get to look at what all the courses were, and I got to figure out how I can watch it at work at the same time.
The beauty is they'll post them online once they're done, but that you said that and that made me think of that. So
yeah.
If you're looking for the website, it is ugm.vetric.com for the user group meeting from vetric.com.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It looks like some really good courses. I saw a couple of them. I saw Sammy was talking about it on Ed's page today, so I'm excited about that.
And you got a new sub, by the way, JP Brown subbed, because I don't think he realized just how cool you were.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. We need all that we can get right now.
now, one of the ways that I solved my problem with the square corners in my my miter box was I actually took I'm trying to remember, it was the widest flashing I could find. I think it was like 14 inches. And I basically curved it from one side of my box to the other. So it created a perfect curve in that back corner. And then I had a one of those big, huge gulps that went from 4-inch to, 12.
Yeah.
And so I made sure that it kind of tapered as close to that 12 as I could get it. But then I went up, just like you're doing shingles on a house, and it maintained that sort of curvature all the way around the back and when it got to the top. So when dust hits it, it kind of naturally wants to kind
scoops it out.
Follow the curve down.
Yeah.
So that seemed to work really well. That was sort of I had a roll of flashing, and I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to try that. And it worked so well, I took it out and went and got the wider flashing that worked even better.
Yeah, well, I may have to do that because inside that big box, there's square corners, and they're in there deep. So that might be definitely something I need to upgrade on. But I'm excited to open mine up and see what all's back there.
Get you some of that foil tape. I wish I would have gotten it. Instead I used the duct tape. But the foil tape would actually allow you to sort of seam some of those areas a little bit better.
Yeah.
Is this the current picture that we're showing here?
Close enough. Yeah, pay no attention to the outside of that box because it's nothing but cattle fence is what I made that out of. And shower pan is my door. So, and I even made a little dam underneath it because underneath it chips were flying out constantly. So I took it back off and formed a little dam out of that flashing material so that it forced all the chips to the back.
So let us know which one you think is a little bit more redneck. If it is this here from the Crisscross Crafts Workshop, or if it's the Statedwoods Company. I have a feeling I know who the winner of that one's going to be.
No comments needed. I was not going for style there. I was going for function 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
and it started out being made out of all materials I had on hand. So, and it shows.
Yeah,
it works.
Whatever makes you happy, whatever works.
Well, that
as long as I don't have to wear a mask. Yeah, if I don't have to wear a mask while doing a chop saw, man, I'm happy. I don't care.
Part of the Wood Whatnot podcast does not recommend abstaining from any safety items on your face, eyes, ears, or anywhere else. Please use all safety according to the rules and regulations of the manufacturer of your tool.
That was really well done.
Yeah, you guys are so pro, man.
Not
Not
sponsored.
sponsored.
That has become a thing now, and I just enjoy it. So I use it all the time. I'll overuse it. I don't care. Is that Chris has his moonshine? Yeah, no, he has that sitting right out on the CNC at all times.
Yeah, it's keep it in a Cheerwine bottle.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. Yeah. All right. So, I know what we could talk about. Because telling you, if you didn't know Nick before, you will know everything he's involved in. Because he does a lot of stuff. So we have that. We have, let's see, trays. So
Yeah.
these are all hand, or are these off the CNC?
No, that's actually the first product I pushed off the CNC. So I had some cherry laying around at the house. It was something that my dad kept in the basement for 35 years. So there's no telling how old that wood was. It was really dry, and I was like, you know what? I want to do something with it. So that was literally my first, from start to finish, design and cut on the CNC. I mean, it's definitely simple. It's not perfect, but I got to use 2 different bits, and I mean, it was just something fun,
Yeah.
It took me 45 minutes, and I had a product, and it's not the best thing, but it was something.
It's something.
Some tight grain on that cherry. I like that.
Yeah, that it's some beautiful cherry. It's really dry, really old. I mean, I think I cut out 5 trays total, and on the ends, the end grain started blowing out because the wood was so dry. So out of 5 attempts, I think I only got 3 trays out. But I mean, that's those corners are pretty thin to begin with. So
Yeah. Now is this the wood that was on the porch where you had the snake problem?
no, that's a different project that I'm working on now. That's for a coffee table build.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you look at Chris's shop, and over his shoulder is his magical.
Yeah. Take us over there. Let us see it, Chris.
And my mannequin head is laying over there in the corner too, beside the.
Yeah, it's right there, laying down. Max.
Yeah,
It
And
shows
his
you
huge
what
air
happens.
compressor.
Yeah, it shows you what happens when you don't wear proper PPE.
Right.
Well, he's wearing it. He's wearing my. At one point, he had my safety glasses and he had my my earmuffs on, so that way they were always ready for me at the chop saw when I needed them.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I knocked him over and keep forgetting to grab it.
You're right about that, for sure. We don't play around.
Mm-mm.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I know. So, and you also got into turning.
Yeah. So I had an uncle that gave me a lathe. It's an old Craftsman, straight out of the Sears Roebuck catalog. So this was like my first bowl I ever turned. It's not perfect either. It was a burl that I took off my land while I was building a house. One of the trees that I had to cut down to build a house had a beautiful burl on it. So I just cut it down and I left it in the shop for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And finally I was like, let's do something with it. So it was all punky and had a bunch of holes in it. So this was my first attempt at doing a bowl, but I didn't want it to blow up in my face too. So I did the stabilizing resin, which I had never done before. Put in a little vac pressure pot off of Amazon and stabilize it, and then put some Total Boat epoxy in it and turned it. And those are actually really fun projects. I'm not gonna lie, they're a blast.
Now, I'll say that my first bowl looks nothing like that at all. So you should really pat yourself on the back for that. If that's your first bowl, that is not standard to be that nice.
Yeah, no, and you can see in the highlights of that light up there, I could have done a little bit more sanding. But I also did not know that most turners use some circular sanding instead of just holding the sandpaper, in the same as it rotates. Yeah, I could do that better. But I did go and buy some sand pads that go on the end of the drill that you can use to get rid of that stuff. So I did learn.
Now, from YouTube, who is your favorite turner to watch? Someone who inspired you to do that?
Oh God, there's so many. I don't know. Here's the funny thing. I don't know. So I started turning like mini baseball bats because it felt like it's the most simple thing to turn, right? I just had some wood in the shop and I was like, let me turn a bat. Well, I started turning a bat and then I started talking to people online and Gary from Gare Bear,
Yep.
one of Izzy's friends, he started turning and I almost feel like in a way I sort of pushed him into turning, but now he's taking all these master classes and turning every day and he's getting so good. And I just love watching him do stuff, I mean, there's a couple YouTube channels that I watch. One of the guys' name's Oliver, and dude, a lot of them are from overseas, like Europe and places. But some of these turnings are just unbelievable. I love it.
I think the blind wood turner is British or from the UK.
Yeah, and I love watching him. If I think I can't do something, I watch him. I'm like, yeah, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it,
Kyle likes to say that follow Crisscross Crafts for all of my redneck project needs. And that bowl is nice. It really is. It just has a nice look to it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I have some more to do. I still have a couple pieces of that burl. And I actually started talking with Landon. I want to incorporate the community somewhat in it. So if I can get enough people to follow behind it, I want to come up with a concept and then have people vote on the design. And then once I turn the design, have people vote on the colors of the epoxy or how to, what type of epoxy or fill to do, and sort of get the community behind it. So I'm doing the turning, but they're deciding what it's going to look like. So I think that'd be pretty cool. I think we're going to do a voting panel on our website and maybe do one a month, maybe one every 2 weeks, something like that, just to get some community involvement. And I just have a blast with it. It's so much fun. It's relaxing to me.
You have a CNC now. You can turn bowls on the CNC.
I know. I was talking to Sammy a while back about that on the CNC, and I was like, man, I could just turn baseball bats all day long, but that also takes the fun out of it. I mean, for me, if I have a bad day, if you're ever watching my feed and I'm wood turning, I either have a project that I have to do or I had a really bad day at work and I just needed to decompress and have some relaxing time. So I go, that's my escape at the moment.
Yeah, I miss having hundreds of pins ready to turn at a bad moment's notice.
Yeah,
because that was my out 2 years ago, was just using, the pin. I would make up a bunch of blanks, and whenever I was feeling frustrated or couldn't get a thought to correct itself in my head on a project I was working on, I just go turn a couple pins. 5 minutes of just blindless turning of the chisel. You're good to go after the end.
I feel like the odd duck out because I go sand. If I got something I got to think about, I just go sand. Everything gets solved during that process.
Well, if you have a bad day, come hang out with me. You can sand a bunch of stuff.
And you can go ahead and finish it while you're there.
You can finish it too. Yes.
So let's take a look at some of your collection before we get into more of the maker stuff that you're talking about, community-based. So the baseball bat, you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, some serving trays. There's also a close-up of the bat. This really nice desk. I mean, for solid wood, that's gorgeous. Yeah,
that was a fun project. I really enjoyed that one.
And then let's see here, another up close of just that part.
Is that a cup holder?
Yeah, it is. That was before I had my CNC. So I had a buddy of mine, Chris. He CNC'd me a template, and then I just used it with the router and cut that out so that it's a child's desk, drawing desk, and kids are gonna knock stuff over all the time. So I inset his cup a little bit so that all the pens and markers would be down in there and less likely for him to knock it over. So
looks good.
That was a cool little added thing. Yeah.
And miter corners, that's impressive.
Yeah, the miter corners were impressive. I like the simplicity, but the complexity of these serving trays.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah.
And then I like the metal handles. I'm noticing though that there's a theme here with these. They seem to have a team chamfer going on.
Yeah, that's me. I'm not really a big fan of roundovers all that much.
Oh, you're not?
I'm sorry, my headset went out. Excuse me.
Oh, did you not hear what we were talking about?
Nah, it blanked out. It kind of froze up, and you went, and that's all I heard. And you're back now, so carry on.
Oh, good. Okay.
Carry
Well,
on.
what well, no, that's, that happens sometimes. I get that with
Yeah.
lives.
We
So
don't
we'll
want to
just go ahead
bother
and
the
put
people
that
who've
on the,
already heard it. Ah,
yeah, we'll just go ahead and put that right there. And that way it's done. And,
you know what? I'm gonna become Team OG. It's just gonna go that route.
oh, yeah, they have to be different, huh? Team OG. I like Team OG. It sounds good.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I do like a chamfer though. I mean, roundover has its place, but it's not very much in my work.
Oh, that works. And then let's see here. That looks like all of the kind of stuff that you had on your website that I could really pull up and show off. But so talking about community, you have the Maker Co-op shop,
Yep.
and you put on with what's her name, Chrissy?
Christy. Yep.
You put on the Maker Collab. Tell us about the Maker Collab.
Yeah, so 2 years ago for Christmas, I wanted to make something for my sister, and I did not have a CNC, I did not have a laser, but I had some beautiful walnut, and I wanted to make some like Christmas ornaments with her logo for her business. And I was like, Chrissy, let's do a collab. Let's just, do something together. So I planed the wood, got it all finished up, and then I sent it to her, and she did it for me. And I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? This was so easy to do, like a collaboration between the two of us. That's how we actually met. I was like, it was so simple. Why don't we put on a competition for it? And so we do. Every year we put on a competition. We give a theme. It can be like two or three. I think we've usually done 2 Instagram accounts. And we give them a theme, and they collaborate on it. They have about 2 months to complete the project, and then the community votes on it. And of course, we have sponsors. We had a lot of sponsors this year. We had eight or so sponsors. We've already got a lot of sponsors, that are asking to be in it next year. But it's amazing. The projects and the community that come out of this is unbelievable. I mean, we have people that are meeting from across the world. We had our first international team from Australia this year, and it is the most fun I have had in a very long time. And Christy and I will both tell you, we just love seeing the community get even stronger. Like I said, I mean, it's already a close-knit family to begin with, but to add a little competition to it and to encourage people to work together and to go outside of their sort of comfort zone of, again, being in their shop by themselves, it's been a blast. And it was just so funny that we did it the first year and COVID hit, and then we had this past year where we still had lingering of COVID. And even through all that, I mean, the community came together. It was just beautiful.
I'm trying to find, it was the Game Boy that won, right?
So the first year was the Game Boy. Yep.
Okay.
Ricky and Andrew did a it was a 2-scale. I don't remember the size increase, but it was a 2-scale Game Boy that actually played and actually works. And you talk about the craftsmanship in it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and Raspberry Pi in it, I think. Like it was a full on everything, wood, electronics, a screen, but functional. It was cool. I'm trying to find it.
Unbelievable. I mean, they did a scroll saw on it. They did laser engraving. I mean, those two guys are just masters at what they do. And it was just an unbelievable project. Unbelievable. And we did not have one project that was just, just looked like it was thrown together. These projects are unbelievable. And the time that people take into it, and Christy and I are still flabbergasted and can't believe that people take the time out of their daily routine or their maker, projects to do something like this. It's just unbelievable.
Well, it may have been due to your promotional video talking about the event.
Yeah, we have fun with those.
Yeah. We should have racked that video montage up, ready to play.
I wasn't that video. I asked him for all kinds of stuff. He gave me some.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know we were going to talk about all that. But it was a blast. I mean, Christy and I have been doing this for 2 years. We've been friends for almost 2 years now, and we've never met each other in person. And so we have to collaborate. We have to do these. So we write up a script and we go back and forth. And I mean, it's just so much fun. So if you get a chance, you can go check it out. It's a blast. There's nothing bad about that whole competition. And the sponsors that we have are unbelievable. They're so gracious in giving us all this stuff to show and demo for them and give to the winners. And it's unbelievable. So this year's going to be a little bit different. We're still going to have a theme and all. I think we're going to decide on doing a couple different prize packs for the winners. But we've had both years had about 13, 14 teams. So that's, 28, 30 people that are jumping in on it. And we had, 8 to 10,000 people voting on it. I mean, it's just unbelievable, the community that came out for it. So it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the different teams and what they come up with, because there was projects that were large scale, like looked like tree houses. And they're like a princess house or something one year too.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
horrible at remembering the exact details. I'm glad you do, but there's been some cool stuff.
oh yeah, totally unbelievable stuff. And the videos that are coming out, and there's the thing that I love the most is that people are meeting other people that have like interests, and that's what it's all about. And every single team challenged themselves. I mean, we talked to people. We did lives with every team this past year that wanted to do a live. And every time I got to ask a question, I was like, what have you learned or what have you done differently? And they're like, well, we've never done anything like this before. This is a challenge for us. And it just brings joy to us knowing that we had the ability to push somebody to that limit, to where they challenge themselves.
What I enjoy about it too is that I'm finding out about makers that I didn't know existed. I'll get the names wrong because I did not plan for this part of it of tonight's podcast. But is it Midnight Maker? Is the police officer that he's a third shifter, and that's when he actually gets to be able to do a lot of things he does is late night.
Yeah, Mike is a police officer. Yep, and his partner. It's a funny story with those two guys. Is that Mike had a CNC, but his partner does not have a CNC, but he wanted to contribute, and eventually he wants to have a CNC. So he actually downloaded all of the software and designed the program for Mike to cut on the CNC. So, I mean, he took it to a whole nother level and challenging himself. I mean, he basically learned, I don't know if he learned with Vetric or Aspire or what he used, Carbide Create or something, but I mean, he purchased the software without ever having the CNC. And built it from there. And you talk about something that's challenging. I mean, it's challenging enough to have with the CNC there so you can test it. But I mean, he designed the whole thing, and then Mike took it, and they didn't have to tweak very much before they were cutting.
Because I remember when they were talking live that was the time difference.
Yeah, that was a huge difference.
Yeah, because one's asleep when the other one's awake. So it was that was definitely a challenge on the collab, but it was cool to see how that one all came out. So.
Yeah, well, and the thing about it is most of the time people are meeting others from across the country or even across the world. And so they work on a little bit of a project and mail it to the other one, and they work on their project. And, the hard part at the end of it is trying to figure out what teammate gets to keep the final product, but we even with COVID and everything going on, we didn't have many teams drop out because of shipping problems and things like that. You thought, if I do a project and I send it and FedEx breaks it, or they stick it in a truck somewhere and they don't get it delivered for a long time. It really didn't happen with us. It was great.
That's because he shipped it with FedEx. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
And the guy could have learned his software faster if he would have went to learnyourcnc.com.
Yeah, Mike, where are you at?
Learnyourcnc.com, where you can learn Vetric in all of its forms.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There we go. So happy go us.
Yeah. So let's see. I'll do some more videos here because we're getting close to the end. But I think we touched on pretty much everything that you're involved in. If we miss something, by all means, definitely jump in. But let's see here. I do remember this one. Was this the? Let me pause it. This was the dado blade set on the radial alarm saw.
Yeah, it actually was. So I needed to do half laps. This is actually my the start of my Alfie table that I have for the saw stop, and I was like, man, I really want to do it to like you were saying earlier. I want to do it right, so I don't have to do this again. So I did these big half laps, and I had this radial arm saw that Landon and I refurbished. Picked it up on Facebook Marketplace for $100.
Oh,
and so I was like, this is the fastest way. And so I actually talked to you, Mike, about what dado stack to put in it. And so I bought it from Klingspor and got it in there. And this thing is a beast. Let me tell you, it'll scare you the first time you touch it because that thing is screaming and wants to come right at your face. Mm-hmm. But once you get a handle on it, I mean, it wastes no time at all.
And see, I grew up using a radial arm saw, so for me, I have a better understanding for it, and I really think there should be more out there because there's a lot of things that they made attachments for that machine.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, you realize all the potential that it has. I mean, you could put molding router bits on it and spin it upside down and just spin it backwards. I mean, you can do rips and you can do everything. Molding.
There's a reason there's not a lot of them out there anymore. They're not safe tools.
No, they're probably not safe. And I looked at a bunch. I mean, this just popped up on Facebook Marketplace one day, and I started searching, and all of the ones I found, none of them had the guards on top. Like it was just a blade spinning freely. And I was like, no, it's probably not the best idea.
Well, yeah, it came with a guard, but we ain't sure what we did with it.
We just took it off. We didn't need that thing.
Sounds like every table saw I've ever been around. Hey, where's the guard for this? Oh.
Yeah. So, but speaking of that dust hood earlier, that radial arm saw is fixing to get its own custom dust hood for that because that thing will throw some sawdust everywhere. So I gotta try to tame that beast and get some suction on that thing.
And for those of you who own a radial arm or a slide miter, just a little quick tip here from people who know blades: get a negative hook blade for that. It will be a lot safer for you. Whether if you don't have guards on yours, at least it'll be safer and won't tend to want to jerk and run towards you.
That's right.
There's the pro tip of the day on blades for a radial arm.
And we'll also say that it doesn't. It really, the number of teeth is kind of no longer a big issue. It's not something you really should look at. You should be looking at the rake. It's negative is good for cross cutting, radial arm saw or a compound, and then just general. If the more forward rake it is, the more aggressive it's going to cut towards you. So yeah, that's usually where a lot of people got hurt. Was it would bite and come right at you. Thumbs. Yeah. Remember thumbs being a big issue back in the day.
Thumbs. Yeah, I put some hold downs on it with a T-track so that I could actually hold my piece like that and keep the thumbs away. Because if you've never used one, I mean that first pull, it'll shock you because it is that blade spinning right towards you and it's wanting to come towards you. So that little hand grip that's on it is actually intended for you to push against it, not pull it towards you. So yeah, and I should have posted the video of the first time I let that dado stack bite into that. I mean, it's scary. Yeah, I wasn't ready. I went slowly because I knew that it was going to do it with physics. You sort of understood. But as soon as that tooth grabbed that first one and it wanted to jerk forward about 2 inches, dado stack's not intended to move that fast.
It's funny. Go ahead, Chris.
So what you're saying is you're not taking an inch of cut per pass.
No. I tried the first time. Let me tell you, I tried, and I thought I almost broke it. It almost wanted to stop the blade because it ate so fast. But no, you got to back it up and just eat it slowly. But I mean, it'll make a clean cut, and it's accurate too. If you dial it in correctly, it's accurate.
It's funny if you go into an older wood shop that has one, you'll notice there's a certain stance for a radial arm saw, and it's almost like you keep your shoulders locked and you just turn your shoulders in order to use it. Like your arm is always locked, so therefore you're not having to use as many muscles to push back. Yeah, but yeah, it's a fun machine. I'd have another one. Let's see what we got here. Oh, is this the Turning Jig?
It is, yes. So that's another Izzy special. He walked me through a little bit of that, but I mean that you talk about fun. Now that's fun. I did not have it perfectly balanced, so you could see in the handle of the drill it jiggled a little bit, but that is white oak at about 5 inches thick, and I'm cutting it down to a 3-inch dowel, basically to do that desk build that I had. Again, that's another one of those. I had a need, and I had to build something to accommodate that need, and so this was the most fun way of doing it. I could have sat there on the lathe and sort of ate away at that white oak, but that table saw blade just eats right through it.
It's a lot more fun to do it on the table saw. Once you try that jig, you realize that's just fun.
Yeah, and all you have to do is lift one end of that thing, and you have a taper, just by the way physics works. And so that's what I did. It had about 1.5 inch taper on all those legs for that desk build. So it was a blast.
That's so awesome that you did it on that. And then this one here, you had added the TV lift.
Yeah, so that was a custom thing for me. This is another one of those I found the need, but I didn't want to go the normal route that most people do. So that completely gets rid of any table saw caddy that you would mount to your fence. I built the the outfeed table custom so that I had power to it. And I was like, you know what? Let's just build this new caddy that hides all of the things that I need for the table saw. I don't need those things all the time. So why have it on the table saw fence in my way when I don't need it?
Yep.
So I went on Amazon and found a linear actuator, put it in there, bought the current transformer box or whatever you call it, and wired it up. And it's got sensors on it to where once it hits to the top or the bottom, the power gets cut to it. So you won't drop through the table too far, and it won't, be proud of the table either. So that was another fun project.
Now, did wall control have a particular piece for that size? Because that looked like wall control.
Yeah, that was wall control. No, that was one of their standard sizes. I actually built that whole cabinet around how big that wall control was. So
Cool.
They thought that was a pretty cool thing. Nobody had ever really done it like that before. So everybody thought that I was putting a TV in it, which would have not made sense at a table saw. Watching TV and table saw don't go together. But yeah, I love it. I mean, you have to choose the right linear actuator. I actually tried to build one myself to start with. And then I was like, you know what, let's just do it the right way. Because again, I don't want to have to tear this table apart if something goes bad. And there is a false front behind the table saw to where if something happened, I could unscrew the panel and get to all that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works perfectly. It's a little slow in real life. Obviously in that video, I can speed it up. So it looks a whole lot better, but it's a little slow when it raises and lowers, but yeah.
And Kyle says that's when he started following you, is when Izzy shared the video on his story.
No.
Guessing it's the tapered leg one.
Yeah, it is. Izzy helped me out a lot with that. If you don't know Izzy, I mean, he is like the most kind and generous person that I have met in the community. Sometimes when you meet your idol, or a hero for, in my case, woodworking,
yeah,
you never know how they're going to be. Just like any celebrity, they could be a complete butthole when you meet them in person, and it changes your thought on them. But Izzy's the complete opposite. I mean, you fall in love with this guy every time you talk to him. So he helped me out through that. He told me, he was basically just a cheerleader for me. He was like, dude, you got this. I mean, there's no way that you can fail. If you just, keep playing at it, you're going to do it. And so I called him that night. I was like, dude, I'm about to try this. Stay tuned. Let's see what happens. And I sent him that video, and he said he got emotional because it just means a lot for him, just like it does for me when somebody takes your idea, your theory, and creates something out of it.
And tries it and does it on their own, makes it something that's theirs too.
Yeah. So he said some nice words about me on his stories that night, which meant a lot to me. That not many people will do something like that for you. So
it all comes around full circle is how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's how I try to be when anybody reaches out to me or we're working on projects together. And there is no competition here. It's all one for all.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Always reminds me of your birds in the air compressor, because I remember reaching out to you to find out how they were doing.
Yeah, I got in that air compressor and I was like, man, there's junk all around that belt. And I was like, I banged on it and nothing was in there. And I started taking it apart, and there was a bird nest full of like 3 little baby birds. I was like, crap. So I stuck them back in there, and I was like so scared that, the mom wasn't going to come back because I touched them. I mean, literally they hit the floor. Like they came all the way out the nest. And I was like, God, I'm going to have to like start bottle feeding these baby birds or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go, go fishing and get some worms. And luckily I put them back and they came back. So yeah, that was my good deed of the day. I destroyed their house, but then I built it back for them.
There you go. Let's see what this one is real quick here. Oh, is that the same one?
Yeah, it's another look at it.
Oh, that's real time.
That's basically real time. Yeah, it's a little slow, but
I can see why you didn't put a TV in there, because you probably missed the program by the time I got to the top.
Yeah, I sure would.
Yeah,
but
I was going to ask
I love that thing.
about how long it took to actually raise up, because I know with me, a lot of times when I'm reaching for a safety tool like the gripper or, push stick, it's like, oh crap, I forgot to get that out. Oh, thankfully it's on top of the fence like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I watch yours, I'm like, man, the guy's show off. Off.
Well,
That's a good way to put it.
A few moments later,
exactly.
I can finish my cut.
Yeah, no, it takes a good 45 seconds for it to get all the way to the top. So you do have to think. I mean, that's the one thing I probably do leave out is the push stick all the time. That gripper though is amazing, and so I try to use that as much as possible too. That'll save your fingers, but everything else, all the tools that you need to change the blades out, you don't need those all the time. The angle, the digital angle finder, you don't need that all the time. And I just don't like stuff being all over the place. So
there's your maker collab partner in crime, Oak Hill Millworks.
Wonder if she's been here the whole time or she heard me talking bad about her.
Her ear was ringing. That's what she said.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
Well, we muted the part you were talking bad about her. So
did you?
It would
Good.
never get back to her. Yeah.
We'll just edit it out later.
Yeah. We just played the video right over top of it while you're talking. Yeah. It's like, oh no, he's going to say that. Hold on. All right. So, and then as a finishing guy, I really enjoyed how you did the baseball bats, how you let the running finish go right back into almost a vat so you can reuse it. What are you using as your finish again?
So in these videos here, I'm just using straight polyurethane because that's what I had. It's a wipe on poly that I just poured in there. I'm going to use some oils, maybe some Danish oils, things like that in some of the other ones. But this is what I had in stock. And so that's what I used.
Nope, I like that. The obviously the brand of poly is not my favorite, but Chris, let's see what Chris, if he knows what I'm going to recommend. What finish would I recommend if he's looking for something like this?
Armor seal.
Okay. I was thinking water locks.
Water locks. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it depends on how long he's willing to let it dry. The problem with the water locks on vertical surfaces, you may get some, you may get a little bit of a streaky thing going on. Maybe.
Okay, I could see that. An armor seal would film a lot faster to where you don't have that issue with sagging. Because that's the only downside with doing a film finish like that with the vertical, is that the finish itself will eventually start to sag. So it dries on top but not underneath, and so then it starts to run underneath the drying film. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What I like about doing that process is that you're getting the end grain to pool on top as well as collect at the bottom. So it makes sure that end grain's nice and protected.
Yeah, and it works really well. I mean, the polyurethane, it can get really thick really fast when you dip, so you definitely have to thin it out as much as you can. And I mean, if you can do smaller coats, it works. But on all those, I just thinned it out a little bit and then dipped it and let them stay. And then once it starts to tack up a little bit, I just used a stir stick that I had laying around. I just sort of touched the bottom of the baseball bat and it got rid of that little dimple on the bottom. And after that, I mean, you're ready to go. You can lightly sand it and that's it.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, especially if you have the time to dip it and then go do something else.
Yeah.
You're good to go. Sounds like Nick needs a drying spit to slow roast. I mean, dry his bats.
She's something else. But yeah.
So I just want to definitely, because that was one of the things I remember first seeing was the trough to run it back into the vat. Hey, it's a bat vat.
Yeah, because I mean, you think about it. I'm doing multiple bats at a time, and they only take like 25 minutes. I'm not the best turner, so some people could spit them out in 4 or 5 minutes. But you don't ever just do one. It's probably like your pins. You do 5 or 6 at a time. And I got to thinking like, how do you finish a bat without just standing there holding it while it dries? And so this was the best way, and it really was just a way for me to hang it up to begin with. And then I was like, well, wait a second, I'm just going to make a huge mess letting this stuff drip. So I might as well reuse it. So that was another, 3-hour build that I could use over and over and over and over again. So,
I just got this image of Mike in my head where he's got his clothesline drawn out in his backyard, and he goes through there and he gets all the bats spinning like he's going to spin plates, and he just walks through there.
Yeah. You could definitely do that too, especially how he finishes so fast, I go finish. I'm just like very methodical across it, and he's just like, shh, done.
Yeah, I've done a few little posts where I'm sort of poking fun at the master there.
Hey, I did that one time too on the I didn't give it to you tonight, but client wanted the leaves in their dining room table. And so I came up with Mike, and he helped me go through all the finishes to match it and all this stuff like that. And then I tried to mimic him for a second. And
that was
I don't know how you spray and hold the camera all at the same time, to be honest with you. You are a master at that.
I have no idea. It was just one of those things. Like I just picked it up, and I'm just kind of I've told Gary this 100 times. He keeps asking me how I do it, and I got to figure out a way to film myself doing that. But I just have it like right here. It's like right next to my face, so I'm spraying like that, and it's just right here, exactly what I would be seeing. So that's the only way I've figured out how to do it.
Yeah. Well, I've been stuck watching those stories for many times because they're sort of like a satisfying thing, you know?
He's got a new thing now for Sunday mornings. He likes the calming stirring of the liquid. So I do it for him, because hey, why not? Because there was someone that made a comment somewhere on Facebook that was like, it was a troll, but it was like, why do we have to see resin people mixing up the thing? Like, we get it, you have to mix it up. Sometimes it's just nice to watch that. Like, it's just kind of mesmerizing.
Oh yeah, when you get those like white pigments in the bottom of some of those cans, you just start to stir it up. It just looks magical coming through there.
Doing a rotary baseball bat live vetric training lesson tomorrow. That's right, Kyle's is.
What? Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, I got to do that.
Got to do that.
I got to watch that. Yeah.
And that was ugm.vetric.com.
I can't wait. I'm probably going to get caught at work with a earpiece in my ear walking around with my phone, but oh well.
And actually, JP makes a comment that I need a helmet cam gimbal, and I did strap a GoPro to my head at one time, and there's a video on my YouTube of that where I did nothing but a bunch of chair parts just to show what it looked like. But I just didn't like the view as much as I like holding the camera. The downside is two things. One, if it's a windy day, you'll notice there's not a lot of stories because it's obviously blowing back on the camera, and that's really hard to clean. And then two is the what is it? Oh, lost my train of thought already. Some things require a lot of movement, like chairs, so the hose gets caught on something. And I've done a couple as a joke because I was trying to spray and then the hose got caught, and I'm like yanking it, and I was like, leave it, throw it in there. So
yeah, I love it. Cool. You're definitely the master at finishing. I mean, usually Mike knows when my projects are almost done because I message him about finishing.
Yeah, that's a question. I'm glad to help. I really am, because when you came with the leaf thing, I was like, this will be fun.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
Yeah, because I knew you were kind of not freaked out by it, but it was not your wheelhouse.
No, because I was trying to match an Amish like made table, and their stains were those stains that like they make their own stains, like you can't buy it, and so you had me do a gel stain and all that. I don't remember what was this thing called. It was like a guy's name, like Adams.
It was Michael's Cherry
from Michael's Cherry. That's right. Yeah, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. This is not like rub stain on and then polyurethane, But he walked me through it, and it came out perfect. I mean, I saw that table just a couple of weeks ago, probably, and it looked just as good. I mean, it matched almost perfectly.
See, now is a good time to take a picture of it because now the finish has aged where it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that really would tell you, because whenever I do something to match, a lot of people are like, well, it doesn't look exact. And it's like, give it 3 months, because when the finish ages, that's what you're looking for, is longevity.
Yeah, exactly. And, it wasn't exactly perfect the day that we took it. It didn't have that luster, that sheen that the others did. But they were ecstatic. I mean, if you had the big windows open, the curtains open, like you could probably tell it, but you couldn't tell it otherwise. It was perfect.
I think only because you knew it is why you could tell it.
Yeah, I think it was too. So
I'm gonna sell this to you. Did a great job. The only thing I ask is you'd never open the curtains. That's the only thing. Only requirement. If you want me to do it, you can't open the curtains.
And on this side where our back is to the light, that would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I stood in front of the window while I showed it to them, so I was cutting the light out myself.
Perfect. That's all about marketing salesman right there. That's it.
No, it was fine. It was perfect. They were happy. They actually said it matched a whole lot better than they ever expected. And I was like, you know what? Either you didn't expect a lot from me, or I did a good job.
You did both. You did
go with option two.
Yeah,
option two. But you did a good job on it altogether, because when you messaged, I was like, okay, let's see if we can do it. And then you got the parts, and then you tried a few things. Because, see, you didn't do it the first time. You didn't knock it out of the park the first time.
Mm-mm.
You had to do it a couple of times. And that was, I think that was the key, was to be able to play with it. Then you got comfortable with it. And then when it was time for the leaf to actually be done, then you already had the jitters out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I took sample pieces that I had from the exact same wood, from the exact same, pieces of lumber that I got. And yeah, we just played with it. I mean, I think I had to tweak the gel stain. I had to do it a little differently than probably what I should have done. Left it on there for a little while, because I did several different ways. I mean, wipe it on, leave it for a while, wipe it off immediately. I mean, we played with it a lot just to get it.
Because there was definitely something missing out of that finishing schedule, and I think it was the time frame in which they left it on.
Yeah,
I remember now I remember that because you had wiped it or put it on, wiped it right off, and it was way too late. And it was like, well, let it sit for a little while.
yeah, and that gel stain, I don't think you're supposed to leave it for too long because then it gels up, and then it's a mess to mess with. But I left it as long as possible, and it worked. It came out great.
I'm glad it did. See, that's part of the community and coming together. So don't forget to check out Nick at statedwoods.com, on Instagram at statedwoods. Check out the Maker Collab. It's going to be Maker Collab 2022.
Yes, it will. Starting the beginning of next year. We'll go from February to the end of April. Voting's in May. So
perfect.
Yeah, form some teams and jump on it, and we have a blast. And you can win some great stuff. I mean, we had 8 sponsors last year. I'm hoping to go for maybe 10 sponsors next year. A couple prize packs. So, I mean, come out. It's fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. So don't forget to check out the Vetric World User Forum that's happening live this weekend, right, Chris?
Mm-hmm. Starts tomorrow, actually.
Starts tomorrow. You got Kyle Ely, who's going to be in there doing his thing. And, of course, oh, my gosh, what's his name? Mark Lindsay. We wanted him on the show one time, and he just doesn't have the scheduling to do it because he had this coming up. But he's definitely one of our other favorites, maker in the Vetric CNC community.
I mean, if you can grow a stash like that, then you have to have some people like that on.
Yeah, it's a heck of a stash.
Yeah, just saying. But no, man, we appreciate you coming on, and we know that you were worried that, well, what am I going to say? I don't know. Listen, this is just like your Maker Collab. We're just getting in here, we're just chit chatting, talking it up, and we all learn from each other, and if nothing else, some people learned a new finishing process by using PVC as a trough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know that the exposed screws may or may not have had any adverse effects to the finish that was dripping back down in there. But hey, you can let us know if you notice any issues with it. Anyway,
I did actually put silicone over those screws so that everything slid down very nicely. So yeah, I did do that.
See, he thought about it. He knew.
And there you go.
I didn't want leaks either. What's a trough that has leaks?
That's true.
Yeah.
No, but I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been a blast, and I've learned a lot from your podcast too. The last 2 episodes with Kyle, golly, I learned so much from those couple hours. So, yeah, keep it up.
Definitely glad. So, Kyle says he's not doing it for the Vetric training group. It's probably going to be for his
Learn Your CNC.
Yeah, Learn Your CNC. He's got that Facebook group where he does a live every week. It's the
so that's actually part of the Learn Your CNC too.
Yeah.
Why
don't you tell him about Chris real quick, because that one I don't know personally about.
Well, he's got the Facebook group that's CNC file help and support, and that's sort of a good group of people where you can just go in there and ask a general question, and there's a lot of knowledgeable people that they'll help you with it. But then he's also got that learnyourcnc.com. He's got both the weekly course where it's sort of a group meet together, a chit chat, and he'll do a file and cover a topic. And then he's also got the master course where you go and actually go through that on your own paces. The weekly thing changes week from week. It could be a predetermined thing, or it could be a topic that maybe one of the people from either the Facebook group or someone else may have presented, and he's going to cover it as a means of taking care of that, live. So he's got a lot going on, that guy. It's it's a good thing he's smart and young and has a lot of energy. So.
Absolutely. And if you're wondering what that is learnyourcnc.com. Not sponsored.
Not yet.
No.
Had to throw that one in for one last time.
No, we see, and that's the other thing is, when we get some people on here, and we want to sort of support the community, and this is one of the ways we can support the community, especially the people who we know are going to do a good job and are offering a way to give back to the community, and Kyle does a lot of that. So we appreciate him for what he does and his knowledge. But Nick, we appreciate you coming on, man. We had a blast, and keep us updated on what's going on with your shop, and the dream shop, of course, and we'll hopefully send some more subs and followers your way, and they can keep up with you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and you guys are local boys, so hope to get you out here to the shop one day. We can have a weekend retreat of Whatnot podcast out here. Be a blast.
Whatnot podcast live on location at the Makers Square at so
Yeah.
Go up.
Exactly.
Pinehurst.
You guys are always welcome.
It was Bagger Vance that came from Pinehurst, right?
I think so. Yeah,
Yes,
we've had some
probably,
some big names from here.
Yeah. Thank you, Kyle. Appreciate you being here again and an original. So we'll go ahead and throw this outro out there to close out the night. But thank you very much for watching. We appreciate everyone out there. Nick, appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely.
You've been one on my list, so I'm glad you came.
Thank you. It's my honor to be here.
Special guest. We got a special guest next week too. So for those of you watching, you'll want to come back.
That's right. We're booked out all the way till October.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get busy for October. We got a cool cat coming on next week. I can give him a hint. She's awesome. There we go. No, I'm sorry. That's not her. No, I'm sorry. See, I'm so backed up with everything else. Next week is a guy from Amana. There we go.
Yeah. No, we got a tech coming to talk tools and bits and blades and everything from a technical standpoint. Hopefully answer a lot of misconceptions out there.
Yeah, so get your questions ready. Bring it on.
Yeah, why are you breaking so many bits, Nick? You can ask this guy.
Yeah, well, ask him at what level does the bit need to scream before it breaks. Okay,
Yeah,
I need to know that. I need a decibel level chart.
Thank you, John.
I did a video on that exact topic on my channel because I got so tired of not knowing. So I ran a sample board with like 6 or 8 of the same bit at this feed rate, this feed rate, this feed rate, this feed rate.
Yeah.
So you can test that out.
Okay. Well, perfect.
Actually, you should give him that file that you have for your particular, the cut and everything that you did, the depth, the width, the rate, cut. That was actually kind of a cool plaque to have up on the shop. But all right, gentlemen, we gotta cut it. So thank you again, Nick. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See you guys. Y'all have a great week.